Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, which is about the new B2 First for Schools posters, new plans and new activities. And this is a topic-based approach to learning phrasal verbs. My name is Miranda Hamilton and I'm Exam Support Manager for the Business and Marketing team for schools. So, B2 First for Schools posters, plans and activities. What do we have for you? We have 3 classroom posters and 3 topics. Each poster has 12 phrasal verbs. Each poster has 1 plan, 2 activities per poster. We provide you with teaching tips. We provide you with options for the socially distanced classroom, student worksheets with answer keys, and a language summary for the learners. We also provide you with, the lesson plan is designed so that it could be adapted to be used if you're teaching online as well. And I'll show you how we can do that during the webinar. So, 3 posters, 3 different topics. The first one is technology. The second, environment. And the third is entertainment. And with each poster, there is a booklet of activities, and the booklets look like this. So when you go into the website, and I'll show you where they are on the website a little later, you'll find the booklets look like this, and everything you need is contained within that booklet. So a really handy resource for you. So what about the pedagogical approach? What can I tell you about that? Well, each poster and each plan is designed to provide you with an integrated skills lesson, which is to say that it helps learners to practice reading, writing, listening, speaking. It helps them to practice target language, helps them to practice specific aspects of grammar. So let's take a look at the poster, and we'll look at it in closer detail a little later. But the poster is designed to be the stimulus for the lesson. So look at the environment quote that we have on the technology poster. It's from Greta Thunberg, very relevant to a lot of our learners. So the aim is to encourage learners to think about the quote, to talk about it. Let's take a look at the next poster, the technology poster. Again, the quote on the poster is designed to stimulate thinking and to support learning. And here we have a quote from Steve Jobs, clearly someone who made such an impact on technology. And the topic in the quote is very relevant. The aim is to think about it and talk about it. And for the entertainment poster, slightly different quote here from a classic French writer, Victor Hugo. Music expresses that which cannot be said. It's designed to really encourage learners to think about what it means and to get them to talk in class. So let's take a closer look. So, stimulating thinking to support learning. Well, this can be done in class or online. So I'm going to ask you to vote and to think about Greta Thunberg. She said, "I thought I couldn't make a difference because I was small." She was small, she is small, she's a teenager. So do you think, in your opinion, has Greta Thunberg made a difference? Yes, no, or undecided? Vote now. Oh, so some very, yes, a lot, so, yeah, interesting findings there. Okay, very, very good. So I think predominantly Greta Thunberg, we feel, has made a difference. And I think our learners for B2 First for Schools will also think this too. They're likely to have an opinion. Now, I want you to think about it and talk about it. And I want us now to think of 3 adjectives that you might use to describe Greta Thunberg. And I'm going to check the chat box. Determined, insightful, stubborn. Now that's an interesting one. What would you say? Brave, courageous. Great adjectives here. Determined, stubborn. Okay, smart, daring, enthusiastic, persistent, ambitious. Really amazing adjectives there. Now, I think as teachers, we can all see that this is a wonderful opportunity to encourage learners to really think about useful language to describe character. Let's take a look at the next quote and consider that one. So, your time is limited. This is Steve Jobs. He said, don't waste it living someone else's life. Now, I'd be interested what your thoughts are. Think about it, and can you vote? Do you think people spend too long looking at other people's lives on social media? Yes. Oh gosh, 100% there. Very strong opinions there. A few are undecided. Now, that's interesting because I think for our learners, given that they'll be teenagers or young people, I wonder what their thoughts might be if they'd be the same. Okay. All right, that's interesting. Yes, it's a pity. Now, I've got a question for you. Can you type one idea that you think would explain why living your life through social media is a problem? Can you write one reason why this is a problem, spending too long on social media? A waste of time, distracting, personal life, wasting time, not realistic, lots and lots of waste of time. Anxiety, that's a very powerful one. Now, what I'm seeing from this is lots of really fantastic ideas. I saw bullying go by just there. Some fantastic ideas. And these are all great ideas that you could use with your learners before you even open your lesson plan to get learners talking, thinking about the topic. Let's take a look at the next slide. Let me see. Okay, here we have it. Slightly different question this time. And this one is: music expresses that which cannot be said. Now that takes a little more thinking about. So I'm going to ask you some questions and I wonder what your thoughts are. Type your ideas into the chat box. How can music make you feel when you listen to it? Soothing and reflective, relaxing, happy, connected, emotional. And this is a really good question, I think, given that our learners have experienced such a big change with the coronavirus. This could be a really good opener for a discussion. Happening and relax, pain and relaxing, relaxing. Okay, so fantastic adjectives there, moving and sad. So I think you can see that the aim of the poster is designed to get learners thinking, get learners talking, and get them on topic. So what is the value of our discussion? The discussion that we've just had very quickly online together. Well, it's designed to stimulate higher order thinking. Now, this is really key because we're looking at B2 first for schools, and we're looking at teenage learners. And so we want to encourage them to have interesting thoughts, higher order thinking thoughts, but to work out how they can express those thoughts in English. But also the discussion activates ideas around the topic of the poster, activates language, and it encourages learners to practice speaking for fluency. Absolutely key. So let's move on. So what about language and support, focus and support? So in terms of the language that we see on the poster, at the bottom of the poster, we have a set of 12 phrasal verbs. And those are the phrasal verbs that are linked to the topic. But in the support materials, we also provide definitions and examples. So here we have to be into, meaning to really like something. And we provide you with the phonemic script to show you how to pronounce it. And we also provide an example for learners to consider. For the phrasal verbs for the environment poster, Here are our 12 phrasal verbs. And here we have our definitions and examples. Now notice here that we provide you with a set of really, really useful information, which is to say that some phrasal verbs are separable. So we can say they have chopped all the trees down. So we've separated the phrasal verb, or we can say they have chopped down all the trees. So notice that you can separate that, but we give that information in our definitions. Really helpful. Phrasal verbs for the entertainment poster, the technology poster are these, and here we have back the definitions and the examples to illustrate how that phrasal verb works in practice. So, but we don't only offer you language support in terms of the phrasal verbs and the vocabulary. That, of course, is key. But where we have a focus, a specific focus on a target language point, we have language support, which is provided in terms of explanation of the grammar. So we provide you for the environment lesson plan, conditionals. And I've just taken a little clip here. I haven't given you the whole table, it's too big. We have a breakdown of the different conditionals, 0, first, second, third, the meaning, the form, and example sentence to illustrate how that conditional works in context. So the learners have a nice package of really helpful materials. So what about exploiting posters for teaching? This is absolutely key. Now, we are aware that for many of you, you'll be teaching either online or you could be teaching in your classrooms, but in a socially distanced classroom. So we're trying to accommodate your needs in that respect. So how do we exploit them for teaching? Well, each poster has a really nicely described lesson plan, really easy to follow, and all the materials are supplied. Notice that aims and learning outcomes are indicated. So you know that by the end of the lesson, learners will have, for example here, reviewed useful phrasal verbs, and in terms of learning outcomes, be able to demonstrate they can use them. So we provide you with step-by-step instructions, taking the pain out of the planning, I think is the best way to describe it. So what about the lesson plan? What does that look like? Well, we felt it was really helpful for you if we were to create lesson plans that looked like a coursebook unit. So here we have from our technology plan, we have a reading, a really nice reading. And the reading, as with a coursebook unit lesson, starts with a prediction task. So what do you think each person uses their smartphone for? Now, I'm going to go through the people in the reading. Oh, I can see everybody's already answering their questions. Take a look at Andrew. He's 16. He looks like he loves his skateboard. He's got a friend behind him. I'm not sure what his friend's doing. What does he use it for? Now, in class, you can discuss in groups. Online, learners can type their ideas into the chat box, as you are. So we think he uses it for games, research, social media. Yes, entertainment, communication. Taking selfies, well, that makes sense. Interaction and learning, work, games, education. I love the fact that you're putting education in there. Music, networking, videos, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to turn, just as we would in class, to the next picture. We now have the lovely Ada. She's 17 years old, and I wonder what you think Ada uses her smartphone for. You can in class discuss in groups, but online type into the chat box. So getting information, social media, showing off, writing a blog, fashion blogs, selfies, Role model, yes, okay. Vlogging, interesting. Video blogging. Selfies, YouTube, okay. TikTok, great. Next one. We now have Bhaskar, age 15. He looks a very diligent student to me. So I wonder, discuss in your groups or type in your ideas into the chat box. What do you think Bhaskar uses his phone for? Education and gaming, social activism, very, very interesting. Playing sports, gaming, webinar, I like that one. That's a good one. Okay, education. Yes, he looks quite serious. He looks like he might be quite interested in his education, doesn't he? Technology. Okay, and the next picture before we do our reading is, hang on, I think we've missed someone. 1 minute, I'm going to go back. Okay, so we're now going to read and check our predictions. Okay, I forgot Rosie. Let's go back to Rosie. Here we have Rosie. I hope you didn't see the answers there. What do you think Rosie uses her mobile phone for? Forums. Do you know, I don't know some of these things. Someone says she's a nerd. Oh, poor Rosie. Keeping in touch with friends, meeting new people. Okay, now, as you might do in class, you conduct the prediction task, and then we're going to go on to do the reading. Now, we're not going to do the reading now. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give you some answers. So this is what our students use their smartphones for. Now, here we go. Let me move my things around my screen. Now, Andrew, yes, you were absolutely right. Videos, YouTube and Minecraft. A number of you said TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat. Now, here we have our surprise, which I think is really key with a good reading, that there would be something that learners might read and it goes against what they expected to read. Bhaskar doesn't use his mobile. He's never taken a selfie. So that would be really, really interesting to explore with your learners. Rosie, on the other hand, yes, I noticed a number of you suggested that she might be interested in using it for taking pictures, but she's only just got a phone and she is quite serious. I know that 1 or 2 of you have said this. She thinks it's antisocial. Now, isn't that interesting? So I think the reading will generate really nice and interesting discussions. So, as you can see, the lesson plans feel like a course book. What happens next? So the lesson plans also focus on the topic as well as the target language. So I'm going to take a look at this. I want you now to do another thing. So we now have a series of pictures, picture 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to pick out some phrasal verbs, and I want you to decide which picture it corresponds to. So let me see if I can move things around. Hang on. There you go. Wipe out. So wipe out. Is it picture 1, picture 2, 3, or 4? Please vote now. So we think picture 4, wipe out. Interesting. Some real mixed feelings about that. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Okay, so a lot of you are following picture 4 for wipeout. I'll be curious to know why. Let's move on to the next slide, and I'm going to give you another phrasal verb. So, next slide, next thing, dry up. Which picture do you think dry up matches to? Picture 1, 2, 3, or 4. Vote now. That's really interesting. I can really see how most of you have gone straight for picture 3, which makes a lot of sense. In fact, I was a bit silly here. I gave you a clue because I gave it a yellow to show that it was yellow, like dry. Okay, let's take a look at the next slide. We now have another phrasal verb. To cut down on. Picture 1, 2, 3, or 4. What do you think? you may want to choose. Can you vote now? To cut down on. You see, I can't see you voting. I see lots of people. Picture one, picture one, picture one, picture one. Lots of picture ones coming up. Okay, all right. A lot of you are opting for picture one. Some idea for picture four. Ah, that's interesting. I'm going to ask you a question. Why do you think it's picture four? Why do you think it's picture one? Type into the chat box. Why? I'm going to ask you for your reasons, just like you might do in class. Cut down on disposals, too much waste. Aha, interesting. Okay, a lot of rubbish, to cut down on rubbish. Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide, next question, the final one. Now, what you can see from what we've done is that we are showing you how you can use this online and use it in the classroom and use it as a tool to encourage discussion as well. Let's take a look. Dispose of. Now, what do you think? Dispose of. Picture 1, 2, 3, or 4. You may change your mind about your earlier votes. Okay, so a lot of you are choosing picture 4, and I'd like you to, very interesting. If you chose picture 2, only 10% of you. Why picture 2? Dispose of. Why picture 2? It's a curious choice. Okay. All right, so that's fine. Now, I think what you can see from the way in which we've, I'm going to look at the key now. So I'm going to give you some answers. I'm going to put you out of your misery so that you can see the answers. To wipe out is picture 2. To dry up, picture 3. In the main, most of you got this right. Cut down on, picture 1. To cut down on what? What would they be cutting down on in picture 1? Trees, cutting down on waste, on natural resources. Yes, brilliant, that's great. Cutting down on logging. And another word you might teach would be fossil fuels, to cut down on fossil fuels as well, natural resources. Fantastic. And then the next one is dispose of. Dispose of is picture 4. And what would we say that we would attach this to? If you were to make a sentence, what would you say? Dispose of waste materials? Yes. What type of waste materials in particular? Plastics? Yes. Can we go a bit further with plastics? We could say dispose of single plastics, single use plastics as well. So these are extra words that you could, yes, well done. I can see someone just posted that. Lovely. Okay, let's move on. So we've looked at the pictures, we've looked at the phrasal verbs and created a matching activity and done it online or in class. And now we're going to explore, having looked at some of the vocabulary, we're going to encourage those learners to play with those phrasal verbs, to integrate those phrasal verbs into really valuable discussion questions. I've put a little arrow here to show you the sorts of questions that you want to encourage your learners to discuss. So you would have, which environmental problems do the pictures show? And you want them to look at those particular pictures and to say what the problems are. How many more environmental problems can you think of? Everybody's playing. Global warming, absolutely love. Deforestation, great vocabulary there. Earth warming. Okay, so really, really interesting. You're encouraging discussions in the classroom, online, chatting, creating a conversation. But then I think it's also important to encourage learners to think about the problems in their own environment, their own country, local communities. What might those be? And to reflect on those and using the language to practice using the verbs and the language. So It really is about discussion, it's integrated skills, encouraging learners to talk and to listen and respond to one another. Let's take a look at the next slide, because importantly, we move from exploring and taking the overview of the target language to really drilling down in context and looking at the target language that's linked to the topic, the phrasal verb, and introducing the grammar. So here, what we want them to do in a controlled practice exercise is to look at the phrasal verbs and identify, read the sentence and match the right phrasal verb to the sentence. But notice, we're introducing our grammar point, the conditionals. So from freer practice to controlled practice. So it's really, really built on very, very good teaching practice. So let me move my little thing up. What about teaching? What about exam support? What else can we offer you? So I know that for many of you, you are working online and you continue to teach from home. So how can you exploit for online teaching? You can download the posters from the website. Don't worry, I'm going to show you where the links are at the end of the session, and I'm going to show you how you can access those. Well, I'll give you a step-by-step instruction on how to get there. You can cut and paste the poster. You can save the poster into a new file, such as PowerPoint, just as I have done here, and then share your image on your online platform. The teaching booklets are yours to have, so you can download those from the website. And as you can see, the activities are designed to work in class, but they're also designed to work online. So let's take a look what else we have. We appreciate that a lot of you are teaching in the classroom and that your classrooms will be socially distanced. And so you're going to want to support your learners as best you can. So we've given you options for the socially distanced classroom and strategies that you may find helpful for a socially distanced classroom. So something for teaching online, but something for teaching in the classroom as well. But Cambridge Assessment are about assessment and the exam, and these posters are designed to support learners who are preparing for B2 First for schools. So we also have integrated exam strategies into every lesson plan. And these exam strategies are linked to the activities so that there's a really close relationship between what they're doing in the learning, whether it's online or in class, and what they're doing in terms of the activity. So we've created a context for you and your learners to practice really useful exam strategies. Let's take a look at this example, which comes from the entertainment plan. Now, in this plan, they're going to do some writing, and we want to always encourage learners to proofread, which is to check and edit their writing. And it's so hard for learners to remember to do this, especially in an exam. So in the classroom, this is where you get them to practice proofreading and editing. So how do we do this? What do we recommend? Number one, ask students to work together and to make a checklist, to think of the things that they think they need to be checking and discuss it as a whole class. As a group, you then decide which are the top tips that they must remember to do when they're checking their writing. Ah, I see someone's put down timing. Yes, that is an issue, but practice proofreading is a very good strategy. So before they submit their work, whether they're submitting an assignment, a practice essay, whether they're doing a timed writing, making time to follow their little checklist is very helpful, and we recommend it. And it's also helpful while they're preparing for an exam to encourage them to check their own work and to tick against the checklist, but also to work with the partner, to peer assess and work together to check one another's work as well. So it may be that it's difficult for learners to think of anything for a writing checklist. So we've thought of that. We've got some support for you to help them build a writing checklist. And these are all good examples to try for the exam. So here we go. In the learner support resources, learners have guidelines to help them create a writing checklist. So here we have a list of sentences, statements, and the learner has to read the statements and decide if it's a good idea, tick, or if it's a bad idea, cross. Let's take a look at number 1. Is it a good idea for a writing checklist to connect ideas with linking words? Tick or cross? What do you think? Good idea. Yes. Okay. Yeah, a number of you are thinking that's a good idea. So we're in agreement. What about writing everything? We're going to look at another one now. Are you ready to go? Write everything in one big paragraph. Good idea? Tick. Not a good idea? Cross. Yes or no? Oh, I can see some crosses coming in. Bad, bad, bad. Someone feels very strongly about that. Okay. I'm going to become a teacher now. A lot of you have said cross, cross, cross. No, no, no. Can you tell me why it's a bad idea to write everything in one big paragraph? Why is it such a, why is it a bad idea in the one big, but no clear layout? Okay, extremely, okay, not easy to read. Ambiguity makes readers feel tired. Now, in fact, this is linked to one of the assessment criteria, organization. You've got it. In a well-structured piece of writing has to be well organized, and we assess learners on that. So it's really important they look at this. Let's look at the last one. Use simple vocabulary and grammar. Good or bad idea? Simple vocabulary. Good or bad? Yeah. Bad, yes. We want them to demonstrate what they know and what they can do. So should be brave with the language and encourage them to try to use language. However, we don't only give them this do's and don'ts exercise. We also make them revisit these very good checklist ideas and ask them to take a closer look. So we ask them to think about how could you rewrite the items you crossed to make them a do. So let's take a look at the organization one, which is write in one big paragraph. How could you change that sentence so that it becomes a do? Oh, we've got some lovely sentences coming here. Rich vocabulary helps the writer and reader. Yep. Okay. Write 2 or 3 paragraphs. Okay. 1 topic per paragraph. Yes. Organize. Complex conjunctions. Okay. So there's a number of things here that are coming in. So what we've provided for you to share with your students are some really useful support resources to help your writers to read, reflect, and check their writing. So we've looked at our lovely, comprehensive lesson plans, really lovely lesson plans and support materials. But of course, we have more for you, not just one lesson plan. We have additional classroom activities. So these additional classroom activities are attached to each poster. We have 2 standalone activities. Each of these activities are designed to stimulate thinking, and support learning. They're linked to the topics, they're linked to the phrasal verbs, they're standalone activities, so you can use them again and again. You just change the topic and try to adapt for them. So they're lovely, good teaching ideas. And they can be used with other topics, and we give you clear procedures, aims, and support materials. Now, the purpose of this is so that you have a sort of additional activity, but it's a sort of mini lesson plan. And it looks like they look like this. So here are the extra activities for the technology posters. Notice each activity comes with its set of procedures, aims, and materials are provided for you. So you don't need to go searching. Yes, so you can reuse all of these activities. I noticed someone's posted that. So here we have categories and back to the board. In a moment, we're going to try one of the activities. For the environment poster, we have a word finder game, and we have a conditional chain game. Notice, you recall we said that the environment poster looks at conditionals. And so this is an activity for you to practice using conditionals. And for the entertainment poster, we have 1 in 20 questions, and we have a bingo game. Now, the materials, we provide you with cards. So you don't need to go looking for cards. We provide them. But we also provide you with a really excellent link to my free bingo cards. Now, this is a bingo card generator, and this means that you just click on it and you can create your own bingo cards. And that is brilliant because it takes all the pain out of the planning. So that is really, really helpful. Let me move to the next slide. So we're going to play, and we're going to have a go at playing the categories game. So let me explain. Here we have words attached to and connected to technology. We've got nouns, hardware for technology. We've got adjectives to describe technology, actions, verbs for a computer, online media, technology for communication, and phrasal verbs linked to technology. Now, really interesting. You will notice that you can see all the words that your partner has to guess. So here are the words that you see. Your partner has to guess how many nouns they can think of for nouns for technology. I haven't given you any of these words. I've covered them up because we're going to play the categories game. So, nouns for hardware. How many words can you think of for technology hardware? I've given you the first one as an example. Laptop. Go. Let me see if you're on my list. Motherboard, screen, iPad, rig. Wow. Keyboard, mobile phone. I've only got 10 on my list, but have you got the ones that I've got? Computer, desktop computer, gadgets. Not sure gadgets would be one. Trojan, monitor. Okay. Any more? Xbox. Yep, all hardware. Okay, so the words that I have on my list are, no, hang on, let's go back. The words that I have on my list are laptop, yes, I've seen that. Desktop, keyboard, mouse, screen, memory stick, yes. Server, printer, smartphone, tablet, and webcam. In fact, your words are way more interesting than mine. But interestingly enough, what we're doing is eliciting vocabulary that learners can share with one another. Now, if you notice, I've added an extra activity in there. So if I think that you may not know this word that you're guessing, I'm going to ask you to write a sentence to demonstrate what the word means. So we can extend this, and we want them to spell correctly. So it's not just a guessing game, it's also a controlled practice writing game as well. Brilliant vocabulary you've got there. Okay, so learning, let me just move things through. So what about the learning value of this categories game? How does this support learning? Well, number one, as you've all demonstrated, vocabulary review and recycle. So what you're hoping for is that your learners are going to give you back the language that you've been teaching them. They're going to demonstrate they know how to use it. They're going to demonstrate that they know how to spell it. We're also going to encourage learners to expand their knowledge and range of language. So they're going to learn the language that's on the card, but they're also going to learn the language that their peers know that they can peer teach one another. So it's expanding their range of language so they can learn from each other. And of course, we want them to spell it right, and we want them to demonstrate that they know how to use it and can demonstrate that they know what it means. So we're going to ask them to write a sentence so that they can demonstrate and activate that language. Okay, I noticed someone's posted here, learn more words related to the topic. Yes, it is exactly that. So it starts you off learning vocabulary, but it stretches it by learning from one another. Let's take a look at the next slide. Now, I saw a few questions go by asking where, in fact, our teaching materials are saved. Where can you find them? So let me show you where these materials are saved. Let me just click. Hang on. Okay, now there are two routes to show you where these materials are. I'm going to show you both. The first way in which you can find the materials are by going to your new English classroom website. And here you can see where my mouse is. This is the link that will take you through to the resources. When you go to this link, you select the socially distanced classroom. That's the one to go for. You'll see there's lots of other options there, and all of these are packed full of teaching ideas for you. So you can explore when you go in there. Once you go into the socially distanced classroom, this is the page you'll find. And then you scroll down the page and you arrive at the classroom posters and activities. And here, if you look at my mouse, you can see we have the B2 First for Schools posters, and we have the activity booklets as well. Now, I noticed that one or two of you were saying, can we have this for the lower levels? Don't worry, we've thought of that, and we do have activities for the lower levels and posters for the lower levels. So notice here, we have the same thing available for A2 Key for Schools and B1 Preliminary for Schools. However, you can also access the materials from the poster. So can you notice down at, let me move my screen, notice down at the bottom, there's a QR code. If you check the bottom right-hand corner of the poster, you'll see the QR code. And then you go to the QR code and you click on the QR code with your mobile device. And this will direct you to the website. It will take you straight to the booklets and the posters and everything you need. So that's really, really helpful. So what do we have? We have 3 B2 First for School posters, 3 different topics, and lots of different activities for you to enjoy and explore. 12 phrasal verbs per poster. This is just a recap. Teaching tips, options for the socially distanced classroom, and student worksheets. Now, there is one more thing you may be interested in, and I noticed one or two of you have been asking for the other levels, and you may be very interested in following this, which is, if you take a look at this link, we have the wonderful writer and presenter, Chris Thorne, who gave a fabulous webinar on the A2 Key for Schools posters and B1 Preliminary and Preliminary for Schools posters. And here is his webinar showing you the activities, fantastic activities to practice with the posters for the other levels. So that is all of my questions, all of my slides. You've seen everything. So I wonder what else that we've got here. So there's plenty of time now for some Q&A. I think we've got a few minutes here. Let me take a look at some of the questions that you've got. Okay, so what is your opinion about making up a story using an image? Well, actually, I think that's a really good idea because you're going to be eliciting ideas from learners. You're going to be asking learners to think around a picture and to create a story. And I think this will elicit vocabulary, it will generate practicing grammar, it will help them to put and link ideas together. Yes, it is possible to get A2 and B1 teaching resources, as I've just explained. The links, I know a lot of you have asked about the links. The links are available and they will be shared with you. Will there be advanced for schools? Oh, well, that's an interesting question because one or two people asked that in the previous webinar. So let us think about that one. But I think it sounds an interesting idea. And any more questions? Have we adapted for primary level? Well, as you will have seen, that we have adapted and created slides for, oh no, I'm on the wrong slide there. We have adapted this for the lower levels as well. Still, that's it from me. I just would love to say thank you to you for being such good participants and answering all my questions. The certificates will be showing now. There's a link I just saw go by there. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.